Jake Morrison stared at the glowing screen in front of him. Something was wrong with the star maps. Very wrong. He had been looking at these charts for 3 hours now, and the problem was getting bigger, not smaller. The exploration ship UES Horizon floated quietly in space near the edge of human territory. They were on their first big mission to meet alien races and make friends with them. Jake was the commander of this ship, and he took his job seriously. But right now, he felt confused and worried. "Lisa, come look at this," Jake called to Dr. Lisa Hayes. She was the ship's expert on alien cultures and old things. She knew more about aliens than almost anyone else in the human fleet. Lisa walked over to Jake's station. Her brown hair was tied back and she looked tired. They had been working on this problem all day. "What did you find now?" she asked. Jake pointed at the screen. "Look at these star maps. We got them from 5 different alien races: the Corvin Federation, the Zeltharian Empire, the Vorthon Collective, the Drift Clans, and the Nexus Alliance. All of them." "Okay, what about them?" Lisa asked. "Look where human space should be marked." Jake moved his finger across the screen. "See this area? This is where all our colonies are. This is where Earth is. This is where humans live and work and build things." Lisa looked closer at the screen. Her eyes got wide. "There's nothing there. It's just blank space." "Exactly. Not one of these alien races shows human territory on their maps. Not even a little bit. It's like we don't exist to them." Lisa sat down in the chair next to Jake. She looked at the maps again, checking each one carefully. "This can't be right. We've been talking to these aliens for months now. They know we exist. They trade with us. They send messages to us." "That's what makes it so strange," Jake said. "When we talk to them face to face, they're friendly enough. They seem happy to trade with us, but look at their star charts. We're not on any of them." Captain Ben Tucker walked into the room. He was an older man with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He had been exploring space since before Jake was born. "What's got you two looking so worried?" he asked. Jake turned to face the captain. "Sir, we have a problem. A big problem. None of the alien races we've met put humans on their star maps. Not one of them." Captain Tucker's face got serious. "Show me." Jake pulled up the maps on the big screen so everyone could see them better. "Here's the Corvin map. You can see all their territory marked in blue. You can see the Zeltharian Empire in red. You can see the neutral zones and the trade routes and everything else. But look here." He pointed to a blank area. "This should be human space, but there's nothing. Just empty space." "Maybe they don't know how big our territory is," Captain Tucker said. "We've been expanding pretty fast in the last 50 years. "That's what I thought too," Lisa said. "But look at this." She pulled up another screen. "I checked their historical maps. Maps that go back hundreds of years. Even on the old maps, this area where humans live is marked as off-limits or dangerous or just blank." Captain Tucker frowned. "That doesn't make sense. Humans have only been in space for about 200 years. How could we be on their old maps?" "We're not on their old maps," Jake said. "That's the point. The area where we live has been marked as restricted or empty for much longer than humans have been in space." Amy Chen, the ship's computer expert, came into the room. She was young and smart, and she could make computers do things that other people couldn't. "Captain, I've been listening to alien radio signals like you asked me to. I found something weird." "What kind of weird?" Captain Tucker asked. Amy sat down at her computer station. "I've been picking up signals from Corvin ships near our border. They don't think we can understand their language, but our computers can translate it now. Listen to this." She played an audio recording. The alien voices sounded nervous and scared. The computer translated their words. "Maintain safe distance from the silent zone. Do not approach human territory without permission from Fleet Command. Remember what happened to the exploration ships that got too close?" "Silent zone?" Jake asked. "They call our space the silent zone?" "That's not all," Amy said. "I found similar messages from other alien races. The Zeltharians call it the Dead Sector. The Vorthons call it the Forbidden Region. They all seem afraid of coming too close to human space. Lisa looked puzzled. But that doesn't make sense. When we meet them at the border stations, they're friendly. They trade with us. They don't seem afraid. Maybe they're only afraid when they're alone, Captain Tucker said. Or maybe they're afraid of something else in our space, something that's not us. Jake brought up a new map on the screen. Look at this. I marked all the places where we've had contact with aliens. Every single meeting happened at the very edge of human territory. Not one alien ship has come deeper into our space. Have we invited them? Amy asked. Yes, Jake said. Many times. We've invited alien diplomats to visit Earth. We've invited trade ships to visit our colonies. They always say thank you, but they always find excuses not to come. Kelly, Price, the ship's navigation officer, joined the group. She was good with numbers and charts and figuring out where things were in space. I've been checking something, she said. I looked at all the star maps we got from the aliens. The restricted zones around human space are much bigger than our actual territory. What do you mean? Captain Tucker asked. Kelly put a new image on the screen. The red area is actual human territory, the places where we have colonies and ships and people. But look at the yellow area. That's the zone that aliens mark as restricted or dangerous. It's almost 3 times bigger than our real territory. It's like they're giving us a buffer zone, Lisa said. A big empty space around us that they won't enter. But why? Jake asked. Why would they do that? We never asked for it. We never threatened them. Most of the time, we're trying to get them to come closer and be friends with us. Captain Tucker was quiet for a long time. He looked at all the maps and charts. He listened to the alien radio messages again. Finally, he spoke. There are only a few reasons why advanced alien races would avoid a region of space for hundreds of years. Either there's something very dangerous there, or there's something very powerful there that they don't want to disturb. But we've lived in this space for 200 years, Amy said. We've explored most of it. We haven't found anything dangerous or powerful. Maybe we haven't looked in the right places, Jake said. Or maybe we found it, but didn't recognize what it was. Lisa stood up and walked to the big window that looked out into space. Stars filled the darkness, some close and some very far away. There's another possibility, she said quietly. Maybe the aliens know something about us that we don't know, about ourselves. What do you mean? Captain Tucker asked. Lisa turned around to face the group. What if humans have been in this region of space longer than we think? What if there's something in our history that we've forgotten? Something that makes these alien races afraid to come too close? The room got very quiet. Everyone thought about what Lisa had said. It was a scary idea, but it might explain why their space was marked as dangerous on maps that were older than human space travel. Jake looked at the star charts again. There's only one way to find out the truth. We need to ask the aliens directly. We need to find out what they know about human space that we don't know. Captain Tucker nodded slowly. That's exactly what we're going to do. But we need to be careful. If there really is something dangerous in our space, we need to know what it is before we accidentally wake it up. Captain Tucker called a meeting with his senior officers. The room was small but comfortable, with a big table in the middle and screens on the walls. Jake Morrison sat across from Dr. Lisa Hayes, while Amy Chen and Kelly Price took seats near the captain. We need answers, Captain Tucker said. And we need them fast. I've been getting messages from Earth Command asking about our progress with alien relations. But how can we build good relationships when we don't understand why they're afraid of us? Jake leaned forward. I think we have 2 choices. We can try to get information secretly, or we can ask them directly what's going on. Both options have problems, Lisa said. If we try to steal information and they catch us, they might stop trusting us completely. But if we ask them directly, they might lie or refuse to answer. Amy raised her hand. I have an idea about getting information secretly. The Corvin Federation has a big data center on their space station near our border. It's not heavily guarded, because they think no one can break their computer codes, but I've been studying their systems for months. I think I can get inside. Kelly looked worried. That sounds dangerous. What if they catch you? They won't catch me. Amy said with confidence. I'll make it look like a computer error, not a break-in. And I'll only look for historical information, not military secrets. Captain Tucker thought about this. What kind of historical information? Old stories, legends, cultural records, Amy explained. If there are myths or tales about human space, they would be in the cultural database, not the military files. It's safer to look there. That might work, Lisa said. Cultural information is usually less protected than other types of data. And if there really are old stories about our region of space, we need to know what they say. Jake nodded. Let's try Amy's plan first, but we should also prepare to ask someone directly if we don't find what we need. 3 days later, Amy successfully broke into the Corvin cultural database. She worked late at night when most of the crew was sleeping. The computer screens glowed softly in the dark room as she searched through thousands of files. I found something, she whispered to herself. Then she called the others to come quickly. Jake, Lisa, Kelly, and Captain Tucker gathered around Amy's computer station. She had found several old documents that mentioned human space, but they called it by different names. Look at this, Amy said, pointing to the screen. This is from a Corvin historical record that's over 2,000 years old. It talks about something called the Silent Sector. She read the translation out loud. All ships must stay away from the Silent Sector. The Watchers live there. They have been there since before our fathers' fathers were born. They do not speak to us. They do not answer our calls, but they are always watching. Ships that go too close to their territory never come back the same way. Watchers? Jake asked. What kind of watchers? Amy scrolled down to find more information. Here's another part. The Watchers are not like us. They do not need to eat or sleep or breathe. They live in the dark between the stars. Some say they are machines. Some say they are ghosts. But all agree that they should not be disturbed. Lisa frowned. This doesn't sound like it's talking about humans. We're not watchers in the dark. We live on planets with air and water. Keep reading, Captain Tucker said. Amy found more files. Here's something from the Zeltharian Empire. It's about 1,500 years old. The Dead Zone Guardians have kept their silence for many generations. Our explorers report seeing great structures in the void, but when they try to get closer, their ships malfunction and they must turn back. The Guardians do not want visitors. Great structures in the void? Kelly asked. What does that mean? I think it means big buildings or machines floating in space, Amy said. Not on planets, but just floating in empty space. Jake looked confused. But we've explored most of human space. We haven't seen any great structures floating around. Just planets and space stations and the normal things you'd expect. Amy continued searching and found more files. The Vorthan Collective has stories. 2. Listen to this. Long ago, before any of our races learned to travel between stars, there were others who lived in the region we now call the Forbidden Zone. They built cities among the stars themselves. But something happened to them. They went quiet. They stopped moving around. But their cities are still there waiting. Cities among the stars. Lisa repeated slowly. That's the same thing the Zeltharians mentioned. Structures in empty space. But where are these structures? Jake asked. We've been living in this region for 200 years. Our ships go everywhere. We would have seen giant cities floating in space. Captain Tucker had been quiet for a while, thinking hard. Maybe we have seen them, but we didn't recognize what they were. Or maybe they're hidden somehow. Amy found one more important file. This one is from the Drift clans. It's, newer, only about 800 years old. 3 of our ships went into the silent region to look for the sleeping giants. Only 1 ship came back. The crew was changed. They would not speak of what they saw. They only said the giants are still sleeping, but they dream, and in their dreams, they remember everything. Sleeping giants? Kelly asked. Now I'm really confused. Lisa stood up and walked around the room, thinking. All these stories have the same basic ideas. There's something in human space that's been there for a very long time, much longer than humans have been in space. These things are powerful and mysterious, and they're connected to structures or cities that exist in empty space. Jake looked at the star charts again. But if these things exist in our space, why haven't we found them? We're not blind, we use sensors and telescopes and all kinds of equipment to explore. Maybe they're not active, Captain Tucker said. The stories talk about sleeping giants and watchers who went quiet. Maybe whatever is out there is dormant, not working right now. Amy had been searching through more files while they talked. I found something else. It's about what happened to the ships that went into human space and came back different. She pulled up a new document. This is a medical report from a Corvin hospital. It's about the crew of an exploration ship that returned from the Silent Sector 800 years ago. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong with the crew members, but they all started acting strange. Strange how? Lisa asked. They would stare at the stars for hours without moving. They would draw the same geometric patterns over and over. They would whisper numbers in a language that no one recognized. And sometimes they would all say the same words at exactly the same time, even when they were in different rooms. What words did they say? Jake asked. Amy read from the file. They would say the builders are coming home and the long sleep is ending and the watchers remember their purpose. The room got very quiet. Everyone thought about what they had learned. The alien stories painted a picture of something ancient and powerful in human space, but humans themselves had never encountered it. We need to talk to someone directly, Captain Tucker decided. These old stories give us clues, but they don't give us clear answers. We need to find an alien who knows more about this and is willing to tell us the truth. Who should we ask? Jake said. Most of the aliens we've met seem nervous when we bring up this subject. Lisa had an idea. What about Ambassador Thex from the Vorthon Collective? He's been friendly with us, and the Vorthons have some of the oldest records about our region of space. It's worth trying, Captain Tucker agreed. But we need to be careful how we approach this. If we make him too scared, he might stop talking to us completely. Jake nodded. We'll invite him for a private meeting, just the two of us. Maybe he'll be more willing to talk if he doesn't think other aliens are listening. 2 days later, Ambassador Thex agreed to meet with Jake on the neutral station between human and Vorthon space. Jake had no idea that this conversation would change everything. He thought he knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. Jake Morrison felt nervous as he waited for Ambassador Thex in the meeting room on Border Station Alpha. The station sat right between human and Vorthon space, a neutral place where diplomats could meet safely. The room was small and quiet, with windows that looked out at the stars. Ambassador Thex arrived exactly on time. He was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large, dark eyes. Like all Vorthons, he moved gracefully and spoke in a soft voice. He had always been polite and friendly in their previous meetings. Commander Morrison, Thex said as he entered the room. Thank you for inviting me here. How can I help you today? Jake had practiced what he would say, but now that the moment was here, he felt unsure. Ambassador, I need to ask you about something that's been bothering my crew and me. It's about the star maps. Thex tilted his head, which was a Vorthon way of showing interest. Star maps? What about them? We've noticed that human space doesn't appear on any of the galactic navigation charts. Not from your people, not from the Corvins, not from any alien race we've met. Our territory is just blank space on all your maps. The change in Thex was immediate and dramatic. His large, dark eyes got even wider, and his blue-gray skin became pale. He took a step backward and looked around the room as if checking to make sure no one else was listening. You should not ask about this, Thex said in a whisper. This is not a safe topic for discussion. Jake leaned forward. Ambassador, we're friends, aren't we? We've worked together for months, we've signed trade agreements, we've shared information about science and culture. Why won't you talk to me about this? Thex sat down in his chair, but he looked ready to run away at any moment. Commander Morrison, there are some things that are better left unknown, some questions that should not be asked. But I am asking, Jake said gently. My people deserve to know why the galaxy treats our space like it doesn't exist. We deserve to know why other races seem afraid of us when we've never done anything to hurt anyone. Thex was quiet for a long time. He stared at his hands and seemed to be fighting with himself about what to say. Finally, he spoke in a voice so quiet that Jake had to lean closer to hear him. Your people, Thex began. Your people are spoken of in whispers among the old races. The stories about your kind go back longer than our recorded history. What? Stories? Jake asked. Stories that our grandparents told to scare children. Stories that ship captains tell to explain why certain areas of space are forbidden. Stories that make grown adults afraid to sleep at night. Jake felt a chill run down his back. What do these stories say about humans? Thex looked directly at Jake for the first time since the conversation began. They say that your people have always been in that region of space. Not for hundreds of years like you believe, but for thousands and thousands of years. Maybe millions. That's impossible, Jake said. Humans have only been in space for about 200 years. Before that, we lived on one planet, Earth. That is what you believe, Thex said softly. But that is not what the old stories say. Jake felt his heart beating faster. Tell me what the old stories say. Thex looked around the room again, then spoke in an even quieter voice. The stories say that long ago, before any of our races learned to travel between stars, there was a great civilization in the region you now call human space. They built cities that floated between planets. They had machines that could change the very fabric of space and time. They were so advanced that they seemed like gods to the younger races. What happened to this great civilization? Jake asked. The stories differ on that point, Thex said. Some say they went to sleep voluntarily. They grew tired of ruling the galaxy and decided to rest. Others say they had a great war and destroyed themselves. But all the stories agree on one thing. They promised to return someday. Jake felt dizzy. And you think these beings were humans? The descriptions in the oldest stories match your appearance perfectly. 2 arms, 2 legs, hair on the head. The same size and shape as modern humans. The stories even describe your eyes and skin colors accurately. But if humans were this advanced, civilization, why don't we remember? Why don't we have any of this technology? Thex shrugged, which was something he had learned from interacting with humans. Perhaps you chose to forget. Perhaps the memories were lost over time. Or perhaps only some of your people went to sleep while others continued living on planets, like primitives. Jake thought about all the ancient alien records that Amy had found. The sleeping giants, the watchers, the builders coming home. It was starting to make a terrible kind of sense. Is that why you're afraid of us? Jake asked. Because you think we might remember who we used to be? We are not afraid of who you are now, Thex said. Modern humans seem peaceful and friendly. We are afraid of who you might become if you remember your true nature. What do you mean? Thex stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the stars for several moments before speaking. Commander Morrison, what would happen if your people suddenly remembered that they used to rule the galaxy? What would happen if you discovered that you have the power to control space and time itself? Would you be content to remain in your small corner of space, or would you want to reclaim what was once yours? Jake had no answer for that question. Thex continued. There have been signs recently. My government's long-range sensors have detected unusual activity in your space. Ancient installations that have been dark for millions of years are starting to show power readings. Structures that we thought were dead are beginning to move. What kind of structures? Jake asked, though he was starting to fear the answer. Massive, geometric constructions that orbit nothing but empty space. Artificial objects the size of moons that maintain perfect formations across multiple star systems. Networks of energy that connect distant points in space through methods we don't understand. Jake remembered what Amy had found in the alien databases. The great structures in the void. The cities among the stars. Are you saying these things are waking up? We believe so, Thex said, and we believe they are responding to the presence of humans in the region. Your expansion into space, your growing population, your increasing technological advancement, all of this may be triggering some kind of awakening sequence. But we haven't done anything special, Jake protested. We're just exploring and building colonies like any normal spacefaring race would do. Perhaps that is all it takes, Thex said. Perhaps the installations were programmed to activate when their builders returned to space. Perhaps they recognize something in human biology or human technology that tells them their creators have come home. Jake felt overwhelmed by everything he was learning. Why didn't anyone tell us about this before? Because we hoped it would never become relevant, Thex said. We hoped that humans would remain a small, peaceful race that stayed in their own territory. We hoped the sleeping installations would remain asleep forever. But that's not happening, is it? No, Thex said sadly. It is not. The awakening has begun, and we do not know how to stop it. Worse, we do not know what will happen when it is complete. Jake stared out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, ancient machines built by his own ancestors were waking up after millions of years of sleep, and nobody knew what they would do when they were fully awake. There's something else, Thex said reluctantly. Something that makes this situation even more dangerous. What? We have detected ships, very old ships, larger than anything any current civilization could build. They are moving through your space, heading toward areas where the installations are most active. Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. Whose ships are they? We believe they are your ships, Commander Morrison. Ships built by the ancient human civilization. Ships that have been waiting in the dark for their crews to return. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the station's life support systems. Jake Morrison realized that everything he thought he knew about humanity was wrong, and the truth was more terrifying than he could have imagined. Jake Morrison raced back to the UES horizon as fast as the shuttle could carry him. His mind was spinning from everything Ambassador Thex had told him. Ancient human civilizations, sleeping installations, ships moving in the dark. It all sounded impossible. But the fear in Thex's eyes had been very real. When Jake reached the ship, he found the crew in a state of panic. Captain Tucker met him at the docking bay with a grim expression on his face. Jake, we have a serious problem, the captain said. While you were meeting with the ambassador, we started getting emergency signals from all over human space. Something big is happening. They rushed to the command center where Lisa Hayes, Amy Chen, and Kelly Price were working frantically at their stations. Multiple screens showed data streams, star charts, and communication logs. The information was overwhelming. Captain, you need to see this, Lisa said without looking up from her computer. We're getting reports from every human colony in our sector. Archaeological sites that have been dormant for decades are suddenly showing massive energy readings. Amy turned around in her chair. It's not just archaeological sites. Our deep space sensors are detecting objects that weren't there yesterday. Big objects. Some of them are the size of space stations. What kind of objects? Jake asked. Kelly pulled up a sensor reading on the main screen. Look at this. We detected this structure about 6 hours ago. It's floating in empty space between the Proxima and Wolf systems. It's roughly spherical, about 50 kilometers across, and it's generating more power than our entire home fleet. Jake stared at the image. The object looked geometric and artificial, with smooth surfaces and strange patterns that seemed to shift and change as he watched. Was it there before? We don't think so, Kelly said. Our navigation charts show empty space in that location, but now our sensors can see it clearly. Either it just appeared or it was somehow invisible until now. Captain Tucker pointed to another screen. That's not the only one. We've counted at least 12 similar structures in our local area alone, and they're all becoming more active. Lisa brought up a communication log. We've been receiving messages from colony governors all morning. On New Terra, an ancient structure that everyone thought was a natural rock formation started glowing and sending out some kind of signal. On Kepler Prime, metal objects buried deep underground began rising to the surface on their own. What kind of metal objects? Jake asked. No one knows yet, Lisa said. The colonists described them as geometric shapes, similar to the space structures Kelly found. Some are small, like pieces of machinery. Others are the size of buildings. Amy had been monitoring communications from Earth. I'm getting reports from home too. Deep ocean scanning has found structures on the seafloor that weren't in any of our previous surveys. The structures match the same geometric patterns we're seeing everywhere else. Jake felt a chill run through him. It's just like Ambassador, Thex said. The installations are waking up in response to human presence in space. Captain Tucker looked worried. If these things have been hidden on Earth all along, then humans have been living with ancient technology for thousands of years. Without knowing it, before anyone could respond, the ship's communication system began making an urgent beeping sound. Amy quickly answered the incoming message. UES Horizon. This is Admiral Foster at Earth Command. Please respond immediately. Captain Tucker took the communication. Earth Command, this is Captain Tucker aboard the Horizon. We're here and ready to receive. Admiral Foster's voice sounded tense and frightened. Captain, we have a galaxy-wide emergency situation. Every major alien civilization has contacted us in the last 6 hours. They're demanding that we explain what's happening in human space. Sir, we're still trying to figure that out ourselves, Captain Tucker said. Well, figure it out faster, Admiral Foster said. The Corvan Federation has moved their entire battle fleet to our border. The Zeltharian Empire has declared a state of emergency. Even the peaceful Drift clans are asking us to contain whatever is happening in our territory. Jake stepped forward. Admiral, I just finished meeting with Ambassador Thex. He told me some things that might explain what's happening. Commander Morrison, report. Jake quickly explained everything Thex had told him about the ancient human civilization, the sleeping installations, and the possibility that modern humans were descendants of a galactic empire. There was a long silence before Admiral Foster spoke again. Commander, are you telling me that these alien races believe humans used to rule the galaxy millions of years ago? Yes, sir, and the evidence suggests they might be right. Another voice came over the communication system. It was Dr. Sarah Kim from the Archaeological Research Division on Earth. Admiral, Commander Morrison's report matches what we're finding here on Earth. The structures emerging from the ocean floor are definitely artificial and they're definitely ancient. Preliminary dating suggests they're at least 2 million years old. 2 million years? Captain Tucker asked. That's older than modern human civilization. That's not all, Dr. Kim continued. We've found something else. The structures aren't just old. They're responding to human genetic signatures. When our research teams get close to them, the structures become more active. It's like they recognize us. Lisa looked up from her computer. That would explain why the installations are waking up now. As humans spread out into space and get closer to these ancient sites, we're triggering some kind of recognition system. Amy had been monitoring alien communication channels while they talked. Captain, I'm picking up an emergency broadcast from the Galactic Coordination Council. They're calling for an immediate meeting of all member species to discuss the human situation. What are they saying about us? Jake asked. Amy listened to the translation for a moment. They're scared. Really scared. They're talking about containing the human threat before it becomes unstoppable. Captain Tucker's face got serious. Threat? We haven't threatened anyone. They're not afraid of what we've done, Jake said, remembering his conversation with Thex. They're afraid of what we might do if we remember who we used to be. Suddenly, Kelly's sensor station began beeping urgently. Captain, I'm detecting a massive energy surge from the geometric structure we found earlier. The power output just increased by a factor of 10. On the main screen, they watched as the mysterious structure began to change. Lights appeared across its surface in complex patterns. Smaller objects detached from the main structure and began moving toward different star systems. Those smaller objects are ships, Kelly said, studying the sensor data. They're moving at speeds that should be impossible according to our understanding of physics. Lisa was scanning through more reports from human colonies. Captain, similar events are happening everywhere. Ancient structures are activating, unknown ships are appearing, and they're all heading toward populated human worlds. Are they hostile? Captain Tucker asked. We don't know, Lisa said. They're not attacking anything, but they're not responding to our communication attempts either. Amy had been trying to track the ships on her computer. Captain, I think I know where they're going. The flight patterns suggest they're heading for major human population centers. Earth, New Terra, Kepler Prime, all the big colonies. Jake felt a growing sense of dread. They're going home. The ancient ships are returning to the worlds where humans live. Before anyone could respond, a new alarm sounded throughout the ship. This was the alert for incoming ships on an intercept course. Multiple contacts approaching, Kelly announced. They're not human ships, and they're not any alien design I recognize. On the screen, they could see several large objects moving toward their position. The ships were enormous, easily 10 times the size of the horizon. Their design was geometric and angular, similar to the space structures they had been studying. Those are the ancient ships, Jake said quietly. The ones that Ambassador Thex warned me about. Captain Tucker stood up. All crew to battle stations. Raise shields and prepare for— Wait, Amy interrupted. Captain, I'm receiving a signal from the lead ship. It's not in any language I recognize, but the computer is trying to translate it. She put the translated message on the main screen. The words appeared slowly, as if the computer was struggling to understand them. Children of the builders. The long sleep is ending. The time of remembering has come. Prepare for the awakening of the eternal watchers. The galaxy will know order once again. The room fell silent as everyone read the message. Outside the ship, the ancient vessels continued their approach, their massive forms blocking out the stars. The awakening that the alien races had feared for millions of years was finally beginning, and humanity was about to discover the true scope of their forgotten legacy. The ancient ships surrounded the UES horizon like sleeping giants coming to life. Jake Morrison watched through the bridge windows as more vessels appeared from empty space, each one larger and more complex than anything humans had ever built. The ships looked like they were made of crystal and metal twisted together in impossible ways. Captain Tucker kept his crew calm, but Jake could see the worry in his eyes. Amy, are you getting any more messages from those ships? Amy Chen worked at her communication station, trying to decode the strange signals coming from the ancient vessels. Yes, sir. The messages are getting clearer. The computer is learning their language patterns. A new translation appeared on the main screen. We are the Eternal Watch. We have maintained the sacred boundaries while our creators slept. The time of awakening has arrived. All children of the builders must choose. Choose what? Lisa Hayes asked from her science station. Another message followed quickly. Remember or remain forgotten. Reclaim the ancient purpose or continue the simple existence. The galaxy awaits your decision. Kelly Price looked up from her navigation controls. Captain, I'm detecting similar groups of ancient ships near every major human colony. They're not attacking, but they're surrounding our worlds. Jake felt the weight of an impossible decision settling on his shoulders. They're offering us a choice. We can remember who we used to be, or we can stay as we are now. Dr. Lisa Hayes had been analyzing the energy readings from the ancient ships. Jake, I don't think we fully understand what this choice means. These ships are generating power levels that could reshape entire star systems. If we choose to remember, we might become something completely different from what we are now. Captain Tucker opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Foster, are you seeing what we're seeing out here? Admiral Foster's voice came through, strained and tired. Every human world is reporting the same thing, Captain. Ancient ships, awakening installations, and messages about choosing. The alien governments are in complete panic. They're begging us not to accept whatever offer these ships are making. What do the other colonies want to do? Jake asked. The opinions are split, Admiral Foster said. Some colony governors think we should accept the offer and reclaim our heritage. Others think we should refuse and stay as we are. Earth's government is meeting an emergency session right now. Amy received another transmission, this one longer than the others. Captain, the ancient ships are sending us historical data. They're showing us what human civilization used to be like. Images began appearing on the screen. Jake saw vast cities, floating in space, connected by bridges of pure energy. He saw humans who looked like gods capable of traveling between stars with just their thoughts. He saw machines that could create new worlds and technologies that seemed like magic. But the images also showed something else. The ancient humans had grown tired of their power. They had seen younger races struggling to learn and grow, and they decided to step back. They put themselves to sleep and let the galaxy develop naturally, leaving only the Eternal Watch to protect their territory. They chose to forget, Lisa said quietly. They gave up their power voluntarily because they thought It was the right thing to do. Jake studied the images more carefully. But they also left a way back. They programmed their installations to wake up when humans returned to space. They wanted future generations to have the choice. Captain Tucker looked at his crew. "What do you think we should do?" Before anyone could answer, the communication system activated again. This time the voice speaking was human, though it sounded strange and distant. "We are the Eternal Watch," the voice said. "We were human once, like you. We chose to remain awake while our people slept. We have protected this region of space for millions of years, waiting for this moment." Jake stepped forward. "Who are you? What happened to the rest of the ancient human civilization?" "We are the volunteers who stayed behind," the voice explained. "When our people chose to sleep and forget, some of us chose to remain conscious. We merged with our machines and became the guardians of human space. We have watched over the galaxy, keeping it safe for the day when our descendants would return." Amy was recording everything. "How many of you are there?" "We are few now. Most of our number chose to join the Great Sleep over the millennia. Only a handful remain to see this day, but our installations and ships are ready to serve humanity once again." Lisa asked the question that everyone was thinking. What happens if we choose to remember? What happens if we reclaim our ancient heritage? "You will become what you once were," the voice said. "Masters of space and time, builders of worlds, guardians of the galaxy, but you will also bear the responsibility that comes with such power. You will need to decide what is best for all the races in the galaxy, not just for humanity. And if we choose to remain as we are, then we will return to sleep. The installations will become quiet again. The galaxy will continue as it has for the past million years. Humanity will remain a normal spacefaring race, and the other civilizations will no longer fear you." Jake looked around the bridge at his crewmates. Each of them represented a different aspect of modern humanity. Lisa with her love of knowledge, Amy with her curiosity about technology, Kelly with her desire to explore new places, Captain Tucker with his sense of duty and responsibility. "Can we have time to think about this?" Jake asked. "Time moves differently for us now," the voice said. "But we understand that this decision cannot be made quickly. We will wait while humanity discusses and decides. But know that once the choice is made, it cannot be changed." Over the next several days, the debate raged across human space. Colony leaders held emergency meetings. Scientists studied the ancient technologies that were being revealed. Philosophers argued about the ethics of accepting such power. The alien races watched nervously from the borders of human space. Some sent messages begging humanity to refuse the offer. Others prepared their military fleets in case humans chose to become the galactic rulers they once were. Jake found himself at the center of the debate. As the commander who had discovered the truth, his opinion carried weight with both Earth, Command, and the colonial governments. "What do you think we should choose?" Lisa asked him during one of their private discussions. Jake looked out at the stars through the observation deck windows. "I keep thinking about what Ambassador Thex said, about how power changes people. If we accept this offer, will we still be human in the way that matters? Will we still care about the things we care about now?" "The ancient humans cared enough to give up their power," Lisa pointed out. "That suggests they kept their humanity even when they were godlike. But they also watched the galaxy for millions of years without interfering. They let wars happen, let species suffer and die, because they thought it was better to let things develop naturally. Could we do that? Could we watch suffering and not use our power to stop it?" Amy joined their conversation. "Maybe that's the real test. Maybe becoming ancient humans again isn't about having power, but about knowing when not to use it." After a week of debate, humanity made its choice. The decision was not unanimous, but it was clear. Representatives from Earth and all the major colonies gathered for a historic vote. Jake was chosen to deliver humanity's answer to the Eternal Watch. "We have decided," he said to the ancient consciousness that had been waiting patiently. "We choose to remember, but we also choose to remember why our ancestors gave up their power in the first place. We will accept our heritage, but we will use it to protect and guide, not to rule. You have chosen wisely. The voice of the Eternal, Watch replied. The awakening will begin slowly. You will grow into your power gradually, learning wisdom as you gain strength. The galaxy will change, but it will change for the better. As Jake spoke those words, he felt something change inside him. Knowledge began flowing into his mind, not just information, but understanding of how the universe really worked. He could sense the ancient installations coming fully online, ready to serve humanity once again. But more importantly, he could feel the weight of responsibility settling on his species. They were no longer just another spacefaring race. They were the inheritors of an ancient trust, charged with watching over the galaxy and helping it grow. The galactic map would never be the same again. Human space would no longer be a blank area that other races feared to acknowledge. It would be the heart of a new era, where the wisdom of the ancients merged with the curiosity and compassion of modern humanity. The long sleep was ending, and the galaxy was about to discover what it meant when humanity truly came home.